Hello, brothers. Hope your day is going well. I've decided to make another video imparting my wisdom on dating, relationships, marriage, and having kids. Because I see that there is a lot in our culture, especially weeb culture, VTuber culture, that minimizes getting married and having babies. Ladies, this is the secret to success that your grandmother understood, your great grandmother understood, and all the way back to her great grandmother. There is a universal truth that modernity has forgot, and that is that women are happiest when they're not working a 9 to 5 job at some corporation with a boss that doesn't like them. And by the way, can I just point out something rather obvious? To all the women out there who think that it's empowering to have a job and think that it's demeaning to obey your husband. How is it logical that you go to work and your work has a dress code for you, that you're willing to wear what they want? You're willing to do what your boss says, obviously within the bounds of the job, but you're willing to do what your boss says, to listen to him obediently, to not really argue with him because you're afraid of losing your job. But when it comes to your husband, the idea of submission and obedience is a concept that you find revolting. You don't want to just be his piece. You don't just want to listen to him. And you don't want to do what is in the bounds of your job, which is to be submissive as a wife and to make babies. Your job, and it's an important job, more important than you flipping burgers at McDonald's or being an accountant for some corporation where they could replace you with a goddamn calculator. Whatever you happen to be doing, it doesn't matter. You could be the CEO. It does not even compare to the role that you have to your family and to society and to the human species of having babies. Lots of babies. Which is why my message is very simple. Ladies and gentlemen, get married and have lots of babies. And if you even start to tell me about economics and, I haven't saved up enough money. Since the beginning of time, people have been absolutely mind-bendingly poor. Shockingly poor. In fact, in your great grandfather's day, they lived on like $1 a day. They would go to work, they'd get $1, and they'd be like, wow, this is good, $1. By today's standards, it would be poverty wages, like beyond poverty wages. And they would have 8, 9 kids. Now, I don't think you should have kids necessarily for a financial incentive, but if you do have kids, you do get a massive tax break, especially under Trump. I think it's up to $5,000 at this point. Could be $6,000. I would consult your tax advisor. But you do get a tax return for having kids. That's just one incentive. Number 2, you continue your lineage and your legacy. You continue your family's tradition. All of the sacrifices that your family made in order to create you. You are not going to be selfish and end your lineage by trying to be a girl boss, trying to be an empowered woman. No. You're going to give back to your family and your ancestors, and you're going to honor their choice by getting married and having lots of kids. Now, I know this is going to be tough for you, but here's my remedy to live a successful life. Number 1, it requires you to get fucked a lot to your husband and only your husband. And you continue to just reproduce. You cook, you clean, you make your house a home. That's your job. That's your responsibility. The man should go out and work. The man should go out and bring home the bacon. And you should make your house a home. And when your husband comes home, here's what you do. Here is the secret to a good marriage. All right? When your husband comes home, do not inundate him with all the different things that you've done through the day. Don't just blindside him with, well, Becky and Cindy Lou said this, and I did this, and we did this, and I can't believe she did this. No. Just be quiet. Stop talking. Be silent and get him his favorite drink. You'll know what it is. And if you don't, you're doing a terrible job. You know what your husband's favorite meal is. You know what he likes. Doll yourself up a little bit before he gets home. Make yourself attractive. When he comes home, just ask him, how was your day? And actually listen, and he'll start to talk about it. And then sit down and give him his drink. Hey, maybe take off his shoes and give him a foot rub. And you don't do any of the talking unless he asks you a question or, you know, wants to know something about your day genuinely, and you'll know that because you can look it in his eyes and you can hear it in his voice that he's genuinely curious. But most guys don't want to hear about it. They had a long day. They just want to know that you care. They just want to know that you care. And I'll tell you this, submission has become a dirty word, but it's not a dirty word. It's a biblical word. It's a holy word that describes the love that you have for your family and for your husband, that you're willing to submit to him in the way that he should be submitting to the church. So, my message for all you women, if you want to be happy, ditch this whole modernity thing. Ditch this whole feminist girl boss thing. Ditch this idea of I can go out with the guys, I can do what I want, I can go out with the girls, I can do what I want, I can party anytime I want, and make your man the central focus of the family. He's the head of the household. He should be the one that ultimately is the one who decides. And if you follow those basic, universal human guidelines that have been set down not only in scripture, but also in every civilization since the beginning of time, if you follow that, you're going to lead a happy and fulfilled life, and you're going to have lots of kids. Your body was made for reproducing. And some of you go, oh, that's so creepy. Here's something unbelievable that happens. And I've talked to many women in my family who have had kids. And there's something incredible. There's a worry about the pain of childbirth. But first of all, with medication today, it really isn't what it used to be, like in the 1800s, where you watch these women going through childbirth and it's like this horrific thing. But more than that, the human body is designed to reproduce. What will happen is you will forget all of the different horrors of childbirth, and then you'll want to get pregnant again. It's a phenomenon. I've seen it happen, where you're like, I can't wait to get better so that we can start making kids. And it's a couple weeks, and then you get pregnant again. And that's the commitment that you make to your family that's worth every bit of the man's sweat, time, and effort, and money. It's an invaluable service that only you can provide. But I don't understand how modern women think that having a career is even remotely comparable. It's not in any way, shape, manner, or form. So my message to all the women out there is be barefoot, be pregnant, be married. Not necessarily in that order. You maybe want to get married first and then be barefoot in the kitchen and then be pregnant. Now, a lot of women will hear that and they'll be triggered and offended. And I would say, good, be offended. Your brand of, modernity, worldview, feminism has led to women being more miserable than ever before. They're on birth control, which messes with their mood and messes with their body. And the fact of the matter is that the birth rate has plummeted. The divorce rate is about what it was before. It hasn't gone up significantly, but the number of marriages has collapsed. So fewer people are getting married, and about the same amount of people in terms of percentage are getting divorced. I think that it's time for a different approach. And I would recommend the approach that has served humanity well, that's written about in the Bible, which is that at a young age, I'm not talking too young, we're not sneako here, but at the age of 18, 19, 20, you shouldn't be thinking about going to college. You shouldn't be thinking about Oh, I'm going to go and get my degree in feminist interpretive dance and put myself $250,000 in debt. Boy, that'll really help my life. No. Instead, if anything, you should be going to college almost exclusively to look for a man. And I would look at trade schools. I would look at the guys who go to trade schools because those are the guys with good heads on their shoulders. Engineers, electricians, plumbers, those guys that actually have a trade and are competent. And maybe they don't make the most money, but who cares? They'll be able to take care of you and deliver a pretty fulfilling life. You may not have the Learjets and you may not have the limousines, but you will have a guy that is sturdy, a guy that is competent, and a guy that's able and wants to have a family. And you don't need to worry necessarily about finances. We live in a time where, I mean, the tax credit for kids alone, the more kids you have, the more money you save. That is that's a weird way of looking at it. But what a lot of people do that I know is if they have multiple kids, and they do, they'll take the clothes that they get from the first kid and they'll pass it on to the next kid. But more than that, um, a lot of the people I know who have a lot of kids, they're not necessarily, I'm not saying that they're like poor, but they shop at Goodwill. They shop at they shop at the Salvation Army. And there are Salvation Armies and Goodwills everywhere. And the prices for those clothes, and actually, believe it or not, you can find a pretty good deal on that stuff. You can get a lot of clothes and a lot of stuff for a really small amount of money. And the thing is about Goodwill and the Salvation Army, they usually have sections for babies, diapers, bottles. They usually have places that are designed for, for infants. So you can go buy diapers and stuff for, like, we're talking like $1 for like a bunch of diapers. They're usually pretty cheap depending on where you live. So yeah, I want to put this message out there because I guess it's up to me. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do everything I can to save the human race. One message at a time. Women, I salute you. Get off of this feminist bullshit. Go out there, find a man, lock him down, get him to marry you before sex, then start mating like rabbits and start producing some kids. If you do that, I promise you, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happier not only in the short term, but in the long term. Because when you're older in life, you take a look at these VTubers, and again, I'm not just making fun of them, but you take a look at somebody like Cottontail VA, all right? Cottontail VA, from everything I hear, is a nice person. All right? Nice person. But I constantly see videos, these shorts pop up. Oh, Cottontail VA is single. Cottontail VA can't find a man. Now, I've seen what she looks like in person. There's no reason why a woman with tits like that and hips like that, that's, by the way, perfect for childbearing and feeding the child. I mean, that's exactly what that body proportion is for mating and feeding kids. And by the way, I don't give a shit if you think that what I'm saying is crude. This is basic stuff. This stuff is so basic that it actually hurts that I have to say it. Oh, you're objectifying women. Actually, it's the opposite. It's actually the opposite. If you look at a woman's tits and thighs and go, wow, those are good just for sex, that I think is a little bit immature. But if you look at a woman and go, she does have some pretty good birth-giving hips that'll help, get the child out as painlessly as possible, and she's got some big tits that'll feed those kids. Those are going to be kids that'll never go hungry again. I think that's perfectly legitimate. That's a compliment. I think we need a new word. I don't think misogyny is the right word. I don't hate women at all. I love women. I just hate feminism. We need a word to describe that. I hate feminism and modernity, but I don't hate women. I love women. I think women are incredible. I think they can do something that is akin to a miracle, and they choose to forsake that to get a job, to work for a corporation, and just go, oh, it's so antiquated to submit to my husband. Betty, what are you doing? Get back to work. Yes, sir. Come on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is my sage advice for you. Feel free to disagree in the comment section below if you do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.